morning, and thank you for being there. This is Saturday. It's 9 o'clock, and of course, it's sunrise. I'm Alera Edu.
Welcome to our living room. I'm Ayo Makinde. I hope we are welcome to your space as well. I don't know where you are. Don't let me even think about it. There's a place some men usually spend their Saturday mornings. I don't want to talk about that this morning.
Where?
Are you a man?
That would be telling.
Eh?
Well, their wives would like to know.
You know, okay, I'll give you a clue. It's the place that is celebrated on the same day that we celebrate Father's Day or World Men's Day or something like that.
That's very cryptic.
Men, no, you don't.
Okay, all right. So
World Tea Day. It's not tea, the one that they drink. The word starts with T and it ends with T. As you were saying.
Okay, well, keep it. Well, of course, you are a man, so you keep your secret. Okay. Well, wives, sorry, I tried. I mean, you can't blame me. I tried my best to get you that word, you know, but it's the way it is.
Well, I'm sure some of them already know it.
They have their secrets, so well, let's allow them a few secrets.
Like women don't? No.
Oh, we do too.
No, you don't just.
So, were you in that murderous traffic on Wednesday?
I know someone who spent 5 hours in
going nowhere.
I went nowhere.
Present, sir. Present, sir. I spent 5 hours on the road.
What happened to you that day?
Well, I had a doctor's appointment in Ikeja for 12 noon.
Oh.
So I diligently left my house at 10:30. By 12 noon, I was still trying to cross from Lekki into Ikoyi.
Oh.
By which time I called the doctor, and the doctor said, look, I have surgery in 20 minutes. Even if you managed to get to the mainland, there is flooding, so you will not be able to get to Lasuth in the next 2 hours. So why don't you just go back home and let's move the appointment till tomorrow? Oh, thanks, doc. So now I try to go back home.
This was how many hours after?
Almost 2 hours after.
You left home?
Yes. I had just crossed into Ikoyi. So then cleverly, Alero, you are clever. Okay, since Ikoyi to VI, into Lekki is so bad, let's go and pass through VI so we can enter Lekki from VI. That was our undoing. We were on Odilon Road. We all turned off our engines and we were chatting. Una dey here too. Anyway, I managed to get back to my house at 3 p.m., not having gone anywhere. Not having gone anywhere. But I'm among the lucky few. Some people got home at 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, having left their offices at 6 p.m.
Well, I don't know how it occurred to you or how it happened. It's bad, right? There's no gainsaying it. It's bad. And I think the governor also took responsibility for that when he addressed the press.
Thank you for apologizing, Mr. Governor.
Yeah. The only thing is, and he apologized for inadequate communication. And I've always said
that was the most painful part. That should have been on all radio stations from Sunday.
Alero, you are going far. How do we make stories trend in one day? Look, and this is what I have tried to sensitize governments. You shouldn't have a Ministry of Information. You should have a Ministry of Communication. And this, I'm not talking about, digital communication or whatever like that. I'm talking about, because, you are aware of the free webinar that I held in the course of the week.
Yes.
And I was saying to them, until there is feedback, until people get the message that you're trying to pass across, you've not communicated.
You've not.
Secondly, there is a way the government communicates that disconnects from people. Meanwhile, the people who are communicating with government the way they communicate, if you go see their social handles, active, very, very active. But the layers of approvals that every information must pass through before getting to the public through social media is extremely discouraging. So the people who are working there, who are young people themselves, will not be able to do it because there is one superhuman who is maybe...
Whose approval they need to get.
Whose approval they have to get, whether that is the permanent secretary or unpermanent or temporary secretary or whatever.
That's where frustration now sets in.
So that is part of the reason we'll not be able to get that. And I'm saying, look, we need to modernize government information dissemination. We need to find a way to modernize it because there is no point trying to get the information. And that's, for me, that's the only problem.
Tuesday, this thing would have been on every medium. Everyone.
And I don't, look, what?
Because up until night of that day, people didn't know what caused the traffic.
I tell you
because there had been no information. Somebody told us that bridge was going to be closed on that day. They had said it the week before. But the day before, it should have been reminders, should have been everywhere. If you don't have to go out, don't go out. If you don't have to go to VI, if you need to go to VI, don't go on Wednesday because the bridge is going to, it should have been everywhere, in our faces. They got us all in that mess, got us all frustrated.
I always dread going to the island, always. So I don't know the number
on a good day.
I don't know the number of people on TikTok who, I don't know the number of parents whose children told them what is happening through TikTok. So if that information was on TikTok and you have that kind of relationship with your children, I'm going to Dad, are you aware?
Mom, don't go.
Are you sure? Because
Oh.
this and this, hope you're going through some other routes. And they will always say it in their cryptic way. So let us find a way, dear governments, to modernize information dissemination. Yeah, I know there are sometimes you just want people to be aware. You don't want them to do anything about it. But in the kind of situation where it makes any government look bad, it is not. I doff my hat for the governor of Lagos State. He came out to take responsibility, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But then the Commissioner for Information and a number of other people were also there. Let's find a way to modernize. I tried to do that for one government like that. But as soon as I was gone, and they even requested for me to come back. As soon as I was done, it's to your tent, O Israel.
Imagine how many women had their babies in traffic on that day. How many people missed their flights.
Missed doctor's appointments.
How many
EMR.
ambulances were stuck? People may have died in that traffic. Was that really necessary? Couldn't that have been done Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, which were both holidays? But I guess the workers also wanted to observe the holiday, so they couldn't work Monday and Tuesday.
No, I don't.
And they had to put us through hell on Wednesday.
I don't agree with that because there is a reason. There is a reason we have what they call essential services. And if yours is such an emergency function, I don't think it's something that could have taken. Anyway, I want to believe that the message is communicated.
We hope so. Or have you noticed the sedate speed at which we now drive on Third Mainland Bridge? Yes, I think I need to, like Nyota used to say, let me drink water on that. Yes.
No, what they want us to do now is when you're driving,
leisurely.
40 kilometers per hour.
Leisurely.
You can't commit.
Until somebody hits you.
You can't commit accident that will kill somebody.
You can commit accident, but we will not kill somebody. It's all right.
But
okay.
Again, someone was telling me, a friend was telling me yesterday of someone in the U.S. who went 6 miles above the regulated 80 miles per hour on a road in the U.S. and got incarcerated.
Excuse me. My Uber driver got a ticket for driving at, I think it's Bank Anthony Way in Ikeja, which is 60 kilometers. And he got a ticket saying that he was driving at 61 kilometers. And the fine is 50,000
So,
50,000 naira.
It don't reach you.
61. and the limit was 60, and he got a ticket, and his fine is 50,000 naira. So be careful.
It don't reach you. It's here.
61.
So, and I'm just waiting for a couple of people. I'm waiting for security vehicles that aren't going anywhere. All over the place. I'm waiting for how that will affect transporters who have no business speeding. I know that government convoys don't overspeed. No, they don't.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I can't count the number of times I overtook them. Yes.
Okay.
Because they don't usually over maybe 80, maybe 100 and all on Third Mainland Bridge. I'm speaking for them.
80 on Third Mainland Bridge.
Between 80 and 100, yes.
Okay,
I've seen them do that quite a number of times. Because we don't know whether they... Oh, have you seen some? No, unzip small, halfway. Halfway, unzip halfway. I will send somebody to you.
I doesn't dare.
So it's here. It's just the point this morning, calling your attention to the fact that that reality is here.
Good.
The speed limit rule is active in Lagos.
Yes. And there are cameras to ensure that you do not overspeed.
Those are the police. It's not the one, e-police. Traffic cameras that catch speed. Once you cross it.
Catch your speed, catch your plate number, and some of them even catch your face.
Yes, sir.
So you can't lie. So watch out.
You cannot say, I didn't do it.
It wasn't me.
You can't say.
They will show you video.
You cannot say, I didn't do it. Okay. So
oh, yes,
else?
migration.
Oh.
Ghana is complaining. They say that Nigerians now view them as the Europe, the abroad. Can you imagine?
Let them see.
So why are we packing our bags and going off to Ghana?
See.
And they say every cranny, every nook and cranny of Ghana has a Nigerian. We are everywhere.
We are ubiquitous. We are not just in Ghana, we're all over the world. So let them...
Well, if you get to any city in this world and there's no Nigerian, run.
Let them see whatever they want to say. Nigerians are adventurous, full stop. You better be happy that we bring our economy to you.
Tackling Nigeria's infrastructure challenges.
This will be interesting.
Independence Bridge.
Okay, next one. That's the first on the menu, and then we'll be looking at NLNG shipping and marine services. That's NSML rebranding. More about that in the course of time.
Okay, and Nigeria University of Tech and Management. Wow, interesting.
That will also be interesting. Talking about the first one. Now, April 2025 worship experience of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Find out more about that.
And then I'm sure you've heard of PTSD. Well, what is it? What happens to you when you have PTSD?
Well, we're talking about PTS. We'll suspend the D. So, please grab your cup of cocoa.
Or cocoa.
Oh yes, or cocoa this morning. But how would a white man say? You know, when the King Charles tried to speak pidgin. You saw that video? So.
Niger, no they carry last.
No, last.
See you in just a moment. Thank you for being with us this first Saturday in the month of April. Nigeria's low infrastructure stock is most manifest in transport, especially roads and bridges, which impedes not only the real estate development, but also growth and progress in trade and commerce. Total length of roads in the country, according to Adedamola Kuti, an engineer and former federal controller of works in Lagos, is about 200,000 kilometers, out of which 34,000 kilometers belong to the federal government. The rest are owned by the state and local governments at 16% and 66%, respectively. The condition of these federal roads, which are mostly highways that connect states and regions, is so poor that only about 35% of the network is motorable. And that is deplorable.
I remember a revelation by the former Minister of Works, Mr. Fashola, that Nigeria needs to invest about 10 billion or 30 billion, he said, naira every year across...
For the next how many years?
About a decade.
To be able to...
If memory serves me right, you know, to be able to close the infrastructure gap. And don't also forget, well, thankfully we are only focusing on roads and bridges this time around.
And houses.
Well, can we really talk about houses?
Well, if we have time, we'll go there as well.
Okay.
Well, to talk about all this with us this morning is Professor Yemi Oke, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, who's joining us from Leeds in the UK. Good morning, Professor. Long time no see. As well as Mr. Patrick Adenusi, Director, Safety Beyond Borders, who joins us from Lekki. Mr. Adenusi.
Thank you.
Good to see you. I'm sure you have plenty to, you would have had plenty to say about Wednesday, but that's not what we're talking about.
Good morning.
Let me start with you, Professor.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you again.
Now, in which areas do you see this deficit most?
Well, the starting point is to realize that infrastructure gap is one that will keep closing and readjusting. It's not only in Nigeria, you have it all over the world. Once we have infrastructure out there, we keep maintaining those infrastructure, expanding it, restructuring it, and because of the limitation in terms of the national asset or federal asset, so to speak, there's no way that no country has enough to take care of its infrastructure. So what experts have advocated is a collaboration of the state and the private sector. And that brought about the ICRC that we have in Nigeria, that's Nigeria Infrastructure Concession and Regulatory Commission. That was a take-home lesson from the experimented similar transaction in Lagos with of course, I hate to talk about it, the Lekki toll gate that was given to a private sector in Lagos, which was supposed to be a private-public arrangement until we had that ugly incident. So what happens is that over time, once we have bridges and infrastructure, their lifespan maximum 30, 40 years, and a government must make appropriate budget to adjust and address infrastructure decay and bring on board new ones as population keeps expanding. That's the trend. There's no government that has enough to fix all the infrastructure. What you said in the case of Fashola, it was talking about billions of dollars, not billions of naira, which would now mean like Nigeria would have to spend trillions of naira to fix our infrastructure annually. Of course, we can see what is happening at the level of the federal government with new Lagos, Calabar, and other, and Badagry, Sokoto, Axis, and so many other stuff coming on board, the rail system and the rest. Those are the kind of infrastructure that we always advocate. But then no government has enough to dip his hand in his pocket and fund those kind of humongous projects from his budget. So the way to go is public-private partnership good thing we have appropriate regulatory framework in place in Nigeria. And other states are also replicating it, and that's the way to go. So it's a challenge that's not peculiar to Nigeria, so to speak.
It's not peculiar, but in some climes, it is not so obvious. But here, you will admit, and talking about what Mr. Fashola said, it was actually $2.3 trillion over a space of about 2 decades to get our infrastructure up to scratch. That means to get it up to a tolerable level so that people don't suffer. I mean, going from Lagos to Benin, for instance, I mean, it's a nightmare. It's taking people like 6, 7, 8 hours to get from Lagos to Benin, whereas when that road was first done, it used to take exactly 3 hours, door to door, if you were going to Benin.
Alero, I think we not deploying appropriate strategies to an extent. I will tell you, I'm sure you are widely traveled too. Countries are taking measures deliberately to take cars off the road. And I heard when you guys talk about the speed limit in Lagos, maybe it was a deliberate policy measure to discourage people from putting cars on the road. You know, when you put cars and all these articulated vehicles on the roads, you know, you're going to be spending from time to time to maintain the roads. All over the world, countries are devising strategies to take cars off the road so that they spend less on road expansion and maintenance. They can now concentrate on rail and water transportation. So there are so many strategies that people deploy to reduce the level of stress or stresses on infrastructure. And again, in Nigeria, is such a system that we tend to look in the direction of the federal government for everything. If all the states are up and doing in terms of what they ought to do, particularly in infrastructure, attracting private sector to partner with them, a state like Oyo, Kaduna, Borno, Kebbi will have fixed their roads, meaning interstate roads. Then we'll not talk of federal government road, and even some states are taking on board federal road projects only to ask for refund later. Some the Dangotes are doing social responsibility swaps, meaning the money I have to pay to federal government in terms of tax, I can use it to do some kilometers of road, and those are the kind of things that ought to have been in place for several decades, and gladly they are happening now. What we advocate is for states to be up and doing, and state government to also be up and doing. You know, let me flash back to the days of, let me make this example. During the time of one governor that we always still reference in Ogun State, Governor Ben Gadane, we have Ogroma, meaning Ogun State Road Maintenance Agency, doing bridges, doing roads. We have similar things at the level of the local government. For instance, one of our friends was the chairman of the local government. He had something called Adu-Dota Ogroma, equivalent at the level of Adu-Dota. And that was the one that was able to tar and maintain roads at the level of the local governments and communities. Those are the kind of things that is done.
I need to bring Mr. Adenusi in. I need to bring Mr. Adenusi in. Mr. Adenusi, Professor Oke has made a suggestion that there should be more PPs, private partnerships with government to fix or to give us new infrastructure. To your mind, is this a doable option?
Thank you very much, my sister Lero, and good morning, Prof. Of a truth, all over the world, private partnership is growing. True, there is no country in the world that has the resources to do it all alone by government. Several roads in America, you may not even know that they are privately funded, but the roads are there, just pay toll and you're going. So, but the critical thing is that there are choices. For every private road that is tolled, there are choices for those that cannot afford the tolling expenses. So of a truth, yes, that's actually the way the world has gone. Private people are involved in all sectors, not just roads alone, rail. I mean, that's why the airlines of the world are not all owned by governments. They are privately, majority of them are privately owned. So it's the same thing with the roads. Across the globe now, truly, private partnership is coming in. But one thing that we must do is, if we are copying, we must copy correctly. That is, there must be alternative, viable alternative, not disabled alternatives.
You know, one of the things that I hear, you know, looking at the numbers, Mr. Adenusi, when Alera was opening, she said the total length of roads in the country is about 200,000 kilometers. 34,000 of them belong to the federal government, and the rest are owned by states and local governments. So local governments have 66% of the roads in Nigeria, and the states have 16%. Is that the reason why our roads are as deplorable as they are? I ask because we all know the challenges that the local government level of administration, that tier of government has had in Nigeria over the years. We also know the initiative of the federal government in ensuring that they get their due as and when, so that they can do all the things that they are expected to do according to the Constitution. Many people don't even know that local governments have a responsibility to maintain roads as well. So is that a challenge for you? Even though, yes, I mean, everyone would agree with you that governments alone cannot champion their infrastructure needs. But is that a significant thing for you in the infrastructure challenge or deficit that we have?
Yeah, thank you very much, Aya. You see, unfortunately, we don't have local governments.
But we do have local governments, Mr. Dennis.
Have it.
Oh, dear. I think the network is playing the fast one. I'm sure we'll get him back. Well, Mr. Bregevan, Prof, you may want to please take that on. Is that the reason why we are having the kind of infrastructure deficit we have? 66% of roads in the country are owned or championed by local government administrations. I would have thought that the flip side is the reality.
Yeah, well, you see, deliberately we destroy the local government cadre, which is the closest to the people. And if from the statistics you gave, they have 66%. There is nothing that says a local government cannot champion PPP. And when they do it, they will do it the way according to global best practices. The states will do theirs, the federal will do theirs. But today what we have, which is part of the problem, is that somebody sits at the state, he assumes that he's the lord of the manor, and he takes over the responsibility of the local government, thereby crippling that arm of government, and the benefit that would have accrued to the people, they are denied. So if truly we want to see things change, the current move by the president should all be embraced. The law is there, is constitutional that there is a local government, and they must be allowed. Look, most governors in the states, most state governors have violated the constitution, and they deserve to be penalized for so doing. So what do you call them? Sanitary inspectors, they are not at state level. The local government should be responsible for sanitation. And so today you see everywhere gutters are not flowing, dirt everywhere.
We'll come back to you, Mr. Adenusi Patrick. We'll come back to you shortly. Well, Prof, I'm sure you have a thing or two to say about that as well. Once I saw a document that talked about 56,000 abandoned structures all over the country. I wish we had had, the Institute of Project Managers here in the studio to speak to this as well. So the question now is, particularly about roads, I mean, talking along the line of what happened in Lagos, where the governor made a statement that erosion has made hollow the underpass of the bridge. And many of us didn't even know whether it was collapsing gradually or not. We didn't know. And of course, if anyone knew that was it, I'm pretty sure nobody would. We would adjust by ourselves, not even knowing.
Would use it.
We'd just adjust by ourselves. But maybe the government didn't just want to pass on unnecessary panic and, did all of that. One of the challenges I've had over time, and I always try to bring up whenever the opportunity arises, is that of infrastructure maintenance. Sustainability of those infrastructure over time. Maybe I would ask it this way. Maintenance is one of the challenges. What are the challenges that you have seen that's crippled our infrastructure development direction?
Thank you, Ayo. So many challenges. I mean, obviously, we'll travel widely across continents and we see things differently. Compared to what happens at home in Nigeria. We know as a country, we're doing our bit. I mean, no doubt we're doing our bit, and I must say that because we just need to keep improving on that. We never had infrastructure concession regulatory agency before, commission before. Now we have it, states are doing it. We have tax for road kind of swaps, the Dangotes of this source and the Boas. I mean, those are the kind of things that ought to have been in place. Talking about the challenges, a number of the challenges. Now, we talked strictly or seriously about the kind of technology with which those roads and bridges and flyovers are constructed. Of course, technologies keep changing globally. I've heard of collapsible bridges even in Toronto. There was a day we saw a kind of flyover there. Months later, they said they moved the flyover to another end. I don't know the way they do. I'm not an engineer, I'm a lawyer. But we know that the way bridges are constructed now with slabs, that they are collapsible, that they are transferable, they can move it. That's why in terms of modern infrastructure with and artificial intelligence and the kind of remote sensing thing that will have made it possible for you to locate your bridge or flyover or road in a place where there are no serious environmental challenges like erosion and the rest. That is one. Two, costing. I'm sure you and Alero will agree with me that, to me, most of our rules are slightly on the high side in terms of the mathematics, in terms of the pricing. A kilometer of road should cost X amount of money in Nigeria compared to other countries. I'm not too comfortable with that. We need to go and look at the humongous amount of money that states, sometimes federal government, spend to construct these roads. Then the maintenance culture is not there. And that's not only about the federal government. It's not the federal government that is dredging sand on those bridges, around those bridges and flyovers. Look at some flyovers. Some Nigerians will go there and make it their private toilets. Look at some flyovers. Some people will make it a dump of their waste, of the solid waste, all these disused plastics and the rest. Look at some flyovers. Some people are doing all kinds of, some flyovers are constructed and the medians are created, and you see some Nigerians now cutting off the metals. Some now, they made an attempt to use concrete. Nigerians are also peeling off the concrete to remove the metals. You see that on Lagos bridges everywhere. So when we talk about these challenges, we talk about the side of the government, the side of responsible citizenship that we ought to have in place, which we are not having. I mean, you don't get to see this kind of stuff elsewhere. You know, you have beautiful flyovers, you have pedestrian bridge, and Nigerians are crossing beneath the flyover bridge. You see the divider on Lagos Ikorodu Road with a kind of a gate, a net gate kind of thing. Nigerians are destroying the gate to pass through to cross to the other side on the highway, even under the pedestrian bridges. I mean, you see that even in Baja. You know, the way Nigerians tend to deplete their infrastructure is not okay. So when we talk of responsible leadership, we must also emphasize responsible followership. Because those assets are not for a particular governor, or a particular president, or a minister. They are Nigerian assets. They are my asset, our asset, and their asset. So we have social responsibility as Nigerian citizens to put our infrastructure to use in a decent manner, the way we want it to be. So
Professor,
that's not government.
Professor,
so as a
one moment, please. Professor, one moment. Please, I need you to cut the citizens some slack. When the leadership has impoverished the people so much that they have to go and remove metal from bridges to be able to be able to get food to eat. I mean, just don't blame the citizens. They are exactly where the leadership has put them.
Sorry, I'm not with you on that. I'm not with you on that because we saw even the craziness that happened in Abuja when some people are removing planks,
manhole covers,
to cover drainages, and people are going to fall into it. I mean, you know, that's not how to make a living, please. Poverty is, some of the people doing this are actually not poor. They're just reckless Nigerians. I mean, you say I like to also give citizens some slaps. I'm a Nigerian too. I'm not excluding myself. In as much as we want to advocate for responsible leadership, we must also advocate responsible followership. You must not collect money to go and perform your constitutional duties to vote a responsible leader. When you are demanding bribe to go and vote, don't you know the leader that you want to vote, you have to look for money somewhere to invest and perhaps give you the peanuts you are asking for to get in there and recoup his investment with yield. So we need to start to address responsible followership, and that's one thing I've been doing of late. So all the infrastructure, they're supposed to last some 30, 40 years, yes. But go and look at what Nigerians are doing in terms of bringing down the infrastructure that is meant to serve them. And I'm not trying to play to the gallery here. I can mention examples all over. In Lagos, in Kaduna, in Bayelsa, all over. Not only in terms of bridges and flyovers, health infrastructure, so many things. So poverty should not push us to do that because we'll be undermining ourselves as a people. If we are responsible as citizens, that's when we can call our leaders to account. That's when we can challenge our leaders to be responsible. When you put infrastructure there, no matter how cheap, no matter how expensive, if you don't have citizens who own the infrastructure, who demonstrate a sense of ownership that this is our own, then you're not going to have something that will serve the masses. It's not supposed to serve the leader, it's supposed to serve the people. And that's my grouse with our additional disposition as a people. It's not only in Lagos, it's everywhere. It's a Nigerian thing that we must get done away with. That's what I'm advocating. And I'm inclusive, myself inclusive now.
You know, there's something Prof mentioned just now, Mr. Patrick. He mentioned maintenance. And I think at one point I did this, I asked a question of a senior government official at the federal level. You have built this infrastructure and all of that. What is the maintenance plan? It was rather dismissive, in my opinion, the response that I got. The response sounded something like, well, our job is to build it. We don't know what we can do. You know, we can't do anything after we leave office. And this was years ago. I was a little heartbroken because what I was expecting to hear was something like, hey, okay, so this is a challenge that we have on our hands. This agency of government is there, that agency of government is there. FEMA, for instance, is there. I'm wondering, don't they have the capacity to sustain these infrastructure? Don't they? It's heartbreaking to hear people say the most durable infrastructure Nigeria has built, most of them are either in the First Republic or built by the military. It's a little heartbreaking for me. We've done 20-something years in our democracy right now, and what's gone wrong with our maintenance culture?
Yeah, thank you, Ayo. Generally, we have very poor maintenance culture, even as individuals. We can afford to spend a fortune to acquire an asset, but during the acquisition, we do very minimal researches as regards maintenance. The truth is that the life of that equipment or infrastructure is actually dependent on two major things: one, usage, and the second is maintenance. The secret of impact is continuity. What we have, someone comes in as either a minister, a local government chairman, or any public office that they are given. They domesticate their job to themselves. Ideally, there should be a blueprint that everybody is following, just like every pilot goes on the flight path. The sailor does the same thing, and the one that is driving Lagos to Ibadan does not get to Shagam and veer to the right, facing Benin, thinking he will get to Ibadan. So you still follow the path. So it's unfortunate that we are not following the blueprint, if we have, as regard maintenance. And sadly, when they are not maintained, it degrades faster than it should have been. So like Prof said, the lifespan of that infrastructure is between 40 and 80 years respectively. But when it is not maintained, it's the same thing with our health. We don't do as much as we should do as maintaining our health, and then you suddenly see somebody who is 45 looking like 78. And one of the way out is for us to have a viable and active reorientation organ. Like Prof said, yes, the citizens, we cannot exempt them. The only reason we can cut them a slack, like Sister Alero said, is the fact that the things they see, a mosquito has eaten 10 billion. And so the man thinks that, oh, if a mosquito can eat that volume of money, I should be able to help myself with that drainage cover, forgetting the fact that they have endangered everyone, including themselves. So a viable and well-structured, organized national orientation agency, we do that. Many years ago, there was this slogan on Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria. It says, Nigeria is my country, I must do better for her. Everyone that hears it, even in your subconscious, when you are resting, it will just come back. Nigeria is my country, I must do better for her. Today, we don't hear that. So it's not the best. That is not to encourage them to keep destroying the infrastructure and stealing them. When they are caught, we have not made a scapegoat of any. The person that is actually stealing it is poor, but the company that is buying it, they know what they are buying. They know that metal that has just been brought was stolen, but they bought it. So how many of such companies have we, management have we apprehended and prosecuted? So for as long as we keep glossing over it, pushing it under the carpet, the abuse.
We've lost Mr. Adenusi again. Now, Prof, let's quickly move to power. Almost every part of our lives now is dependent on power. You need to charge your phone, you need to watch TV. Everything is dependent on power. Are you seeing enough being invested in the power infrastructure in Nigeria, seeing as our lives depend on it?
Well, thank you very much for that question. There can never be enough in terms of power investment. There can never be enough. And when we talk of power, which aspect of power? There are so many divisions or aspects of power. You're talking of
you're a power lawyer. I forgot.
But the reality now is that an average Nigerian is a generating and distribution company now, because increasingly we've seen a trend which is predicted, long predicted, that Nigerians are going to be going off the grid. That is happening now because Nigerians, an average Nigerian, I mean, the big rich people like Alero, which I know living in the Via and the Koi people, they will have solar, they will have humongous batteries called inverter that can serve 24 hours, where the people like us in Unilag, the teachers, will be struggling. So Nigerians are going off the national grid, essentially because it's not that reliable. Another good development is that after about also 2 decades of advocating decentralized electricity framework, that is to bring it down. We're talking of roads now. In the past, I thought we had a regime that says only federal government can give us power. Similar to saying only federal government can construct roads. So we just said, no, this is not making sense. So we won that battle. Now states are now doing what federal government could do in the power sector. And we are going through a regime where a state may be on 24-hour access and another state may be in darkness. So that makes the respective states to be competitive. The states are not supposed to be digging their hands in their pocket to invest in the power sector because it's hugely expensive. They're supposed to be attracting private sector, just the way we're talking about for roads. They're supposed to be doing everything, putting their house in order to make their states bankable so that investors can come and invest in their respective states. We're encouraging the states, of course, to have, unlike what we have at the federal government, to have a regulator that can bite. Effective regulation. Once you hands off, like the federal government did in the power sector, meaning it's privatized, the only thing the government can do to help Nigerians is to bring on board a regulator that is independent, firm, and strict. A knowledge-based regulation that will whip the players in line to do what is right. A regulator that will make it possible for the entities to make money, while Nigerians also will benefit from a sustainable power sector. That's about to happen because we're seeing the body language of the current administration that shows that things are going to happen. And this government signed the Electricity Act 2023 in June. I mean, almost hitting the ground running upon getting into power. Of course, that's because of the background of the president who had experimented something like that in Lagos when he was governor. So we're seeing things, states are having now exclusion from the federal regulations to set up their own regulatory framework, and some states are setting up infrastructure to be able to attract investors. We can never have enough money. So we free up the state, the space for state now to attract their investment in their respective power sectors. We're also encouraging 774 local governments in Nigeria, just as we have in the case of infrastructure, Trunk A, Trunk B, Trunk C roads. State, local government, as Adelus and others, you said that states also have responsibilities in terms of roads. Local government have responsibilities in terms of roads. So states should also encourage their respective local government to start to do small-scale power infrastructure, mini grids, all these biomass kind of thing to enable. So with that, we're going to have a kind of energy mix that will be sustainable at the end of the day. But seeing we will be having enough money from the federal government in the power sector, the answer is no. I'm even advocating. I mean, people say I shouldn't even try that. Me, I'm advocating that since Nigerian government has privatized the power sector, the only business of the government is to bring on board effective industrial regulation through NRC, states should also replicate the same thing, effective regulation that is sustainable at their respective state level. Federal government should now start to pull back their investment in the power sector because it's privatized. So how can we be spending much more in a substantially privatized power sector? Federal government will strategically intervene in certain areas, but not to be spending humongous amount of money on the power sector. So that state will hold the process and step forward to really make things happen in their respective states in terms of the power sector. That's the only way we can have it sorted, because we can never have enough power in the country, and the deficit of electricity in Nigeria is in the region of about 50,000 megawatts, so to speak. If you must heartbeat abundantly, once you have stable electricity, the industry are going to pick up, especially the entrepreneur, the small scale.
Interesting that you talked about the power deficit, electricity deficit, and coming at a time where, as Alera asked, she asked about infrastructure in power supply. I would expand it, Prof, to infrastructure in energy supply, because there are options, other options, to it. But let me take this to, Mr. Patrick. I saw a video recently, and you may have seen it as well. And you may want to first of all confirm if it is true that China or some country in Asia has come up with a technology that converts the energy you dispense on the roads into electricity.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Interesting. Now, we are 140 million people in Nigeria, so I imagine that that kind of infrastructure is deployed at Oshodi, at Ujuelegba, at Okari,
CMS.
At CMS.
Okari.
Okay, so I'm trying to marry transport infrastructure with energy supply now, because this conversation we're having, it underscores the fact that Nigeria's low infrastructure stock is most manifest in transport, especially roads and bridges. So how much difference will it make? I also say that against the backdrop of what Mr. Fashola said in the past, that we need to modernize infrastructure. So a situation where we have not even maintained the, forgive my language, crude infrastructure that we have. How are we going to maintain the modernized ones? If this kind of technology, you just confirmed, is to be deployed in the country.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. You see, it's unfortunate that what we ought to do, we are not doing when we should do. I live in Singapore. Our electricity supply is generated from different sources. Mm-hmm. My brother's house in the United States of America, for example, he has solar panels installed on the roof of his house that generates electricity to the national grid. So we have different modes.
Say that again.
And different channels with which electricity can be generated. So the key thing is, are we ready? Number two is, are we serious about it? I saw a video yesterday of a Ghanaian making a joke of Nigeria as the so-called giant of Africa, and that one of the principal reasons many Nigerians are migrating into Ghana is the fact that they need electricity. It's something of national concern if supposed 200 million Nigerians. Unfortunately, everything we do, they are all guesswork. Everything. Look at how my internet is fluctuating. I do a lot of travels. I am right in the air 45,000 feet above the sea level. I am communicating. I I am doing things, I am making payments, I am responding to emails without interruption, if there are minimal interruptions. Right now, even to do this meeting, it's fluctuating. The electricity in my house, it comes in 5 minutes, and 10 minutes later, they turn it off. After 5 minutes again, they turn it off. The electricity in my side is like the trafficator of a vehicle. So, but are we really serious? Do we really want to generate electricity? One, if we know the number of citizens that we are, then we can actually sit down and do the maths. We are assuming that we are 200 million. We are assuming that we are 220. We are assuming that we are 240. If for 200 million, you have 5,000 to distribute amongst them, then you don't have anything. Where countries that have less number of citizens have 45,000 megawatts. So the roads, like you said, for the pedestrians as we are walking, we can be generating. The generation is actually not the problem. The infrastructural deficiency is in the mindset of us as citizens. 80% of us don't think. That's where we need to actually do the infrastructural upgrade. Our mindset, our thinking.
Interesting. So let's begin a course home, Prof. Where do we go from here? Do we have the policies? Do we have, over the past few weeks, when we discussed some issues on this program, between Alero and I, and the guests that come into the studio, they are talking about re-engineering the Nigerian mind, creating a new infrastructure in the Nigerian mind before we can create that infrastructure on the streets. How do we legislate that? How do we legislate attitude, Prof?
Okay, before I get to legislating attitude, let me just drop 1 point. What Mr. Adenusi said is quite true. As you also alluded to that we have options. We can generate energy from everything. Some generate their energy from forest, the bushing technologies. Some generate from everything. For the example, Monique, that are cited severally, they were generating essentially from waste, and at some point they had a shortfall, so they had to reduce the amount of money they were paying for waste collection. For instance, like 5 naira, you reduce it to 3, so they weren't still getting enough, so they were collecting waste for free. They weren't still getting enough waste to generate power, so they were not paying money for people to generate waste so that they can generate power. So that's in the angle of renewables. There's so many things we could do. Also, at the level of policy, I saw federal government now rolling out a policy to discourage importation of solar panels, which is laudable. We need to now scale up our local manpower to be able to manufacture sound, reliable, efficient solar panels, so that we can start to go, to speed up in the area of renewables. Talking about attitudes, we have the National Orientation Agency. There's no way you can legislate attitude. You can legislate attitude by criminalizing certain things. Those that are vandalizing, you will legislate. Those that are not spending the federal government or the budget for the infrastructure that is meant for, EFCC is there, SPC is there. We can legislate attitude, but we cannot legislate behavior of Nigerians, unfortunately. And even, I think Mr. Dennis talked about infrastructure.
Prof, if you can hear me, what's the difference?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
What's the difference between legislating attitude and legislating behavior? Because it is our attitude that will make us, attitude to anything that will make us behave accordingly, isn't it?
Attitude is your orientation. What you believe in. It's when you manifest it in a way that is otherwise illegal, that becomes an offense.
Exactly.
For instance, if you are the type that likes to steal, then that's your problem. You know, there's a cycle issue. You keep stealing, but when you now steal someone's property and you are caught, you are charged to court. That's when. So the fact that you have a tendency to do something, it's not an offense until you have manifested it.
Prof, we can legislate offenses.
so, you know, when you see attitude, you see we have infrastructure.
The reason I apologize. The reason I asked that question is because
don't cross the highway.
Yeah,
you have
exactly.
You are caught.
Exactly.
So if you have a pension, additional disposition to do it, you do it, but when you are caught, that's when it becomes.
That's the thing,
so
Prof. That's the thing, Prof. Do they ever get caught? Look at, okay, I apply the Lagos, the stretch of road towards the Otedola Bridge. Under the Secretariat Bridge, since the Ambode days, it has been an offense to cross the expressway, particularly under pedestrian bridges. It is clearly written there, 50,000 naira fine. Guess what? People cross over that particular notice.
Ayo, let me tell you this. When I was a student doing NYSC in a law firm in Lagos, I won't mention the name of the law firm. I worked with somebody who said I should go and research something. I researched a law in Lagos that outlaws trading on the highways, trading on the bridges. When you have small, if you have small, traffic like this, you see people saying buy pure water, buy Coke, buy this, buy that. Our bridges have been converted to supermarket of sort where you can shop and buy everything you want, including tires, including anything. You can buy food, you can buy snacks, you can buy clothes, you can buy anything. You can buy phones on our highways. But there is a law actually that prohibits trading on the roads, trading on flyovers in Lagos.
Maybe we now need to legislate.
Who's enforcing that?
Maybe, so exactly. Maybe what we should not be legislating, we should legislate enforcement. I don't even know how we do that. Let's go home with this one.
No, enforcement, Tayo. You see, the challenge we have, Nigeria is not lacking in terms of legislation. We have the laws. The laws are actually protected. Like somebody recently was sentenced to 3 months imprisonment. Somebody was calling me that, oh, what could they do? I said they wouldn't be able to do anything. The person was carrying dollars. The law says if it's more than $10,000, you declare. The person didn't declare. Didn't know that there were technologies now installed there that would track the amount of money you have. Of course, they pull him out. They realized he had $30,000. To cut short the long story, they arrested him, sent him to EFCC from the immigration people. EFCC arraigned him. They went to the High Court. High Court just said, oh, he pleaded guilty. High Court said we should forfeit 20,000 naira, which was the excess that he didn't declare, and sentenced him to 3 months imprisonment. And what would they do? They only are going to appeal. There's nothing. The judgment is done. So those are the kind of things. Until you go on the other side of the law and somebody effectuates the potency of the law against you, the laws are there. But some of these laws should be self-sustaining. Not all the laws are meant to take somebody.
And that's the point, really, Prof. That's the point.
If you follow the laws.
Just a second. We're out of time, Prof. So as interesting as this conversation is, we're out of time. But I think you hit it. It's the laws are there. It's now for them to be enforced. Your last words, Mr. Patrick.
Yeah, thank you very much. When you look at the, what do you call it, the people that are crossing in Alausa, the reason they will cross in Alausa right under the bridge or Ikorodu Road and all the others is the fact that when they were born, let's say they were born in Dokpemu, from pregnancy state, their parents were carrying them to cross the road. When they grew up, as they were giving birth to and they were growing, they were also dashing across. So what I'm saying is we have these infrastructures scattered around the places. Look at our roads. 99% of our roads don't have road marking, so we cannot enforce lane discipline. So first, government must take the citizens serious. They must prioritize the citizens, just to place value on the lives of the citizens, that look, a Nigerian citizen's life is worth $5 million. And if you put a value on the life of a Nigerian citizen, you will not toy with it. A few days ago, there was that crazy traffic in Lagos.
We have to just leave it there. We've run completely out of time. You do not want to know what loss came out of that. That could have been arrested by one, counting the traffic, so they will know if they will block the road one side or the other. Number two, adequate and very conspicuous signage that will be installed by that construction site, and even before, that would have notified the citizens of potential closure of that road a month before that date. Thank you, Mr. Patrick Adenusi, Director, Safety Beyond Borders, who joined us virtually from Lekki, as well as Professor Yemi Oke, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, who joined us via Zoom from Leeds in the UK. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We wish you both all the best. And we do not wish the kind of traffic that was in Lagos on Wednesday upon you at any time.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for staying with us. We'll be right back after this short break.
Do you like the picture you just saw? Now, how significant a change is that going to be in the operations of that organization? We'll be discussing the NSML's recent rebranding and its significance in the global maritime industry. Our guest is the MD and CEO, NLNG Shipping and Marine Services Limited, NSML, Abdul Kadir Keri Ahmed. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
It's a pleasure being here.
Well, it's good to know that at least we had a Keri Ahmed in the media, in broadcasting to be specific.
In television.
In television to be more specific.
Absolutely, yes.
You're related?
Yes, that was my dad.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Okay.
No wonder you speak like a broadcaster. Well, let's go back
Don't change my career yet.
Now, this rebranding, why has NSML decided to rebrand at this time? I know the parent body rebranded, and it would seem like the new logo for NSML is similar to that of the global body. So why now? Why this?
No, thanks. Thanks for that question. So, as you rightly pointed out, the parent body obviously rebranded, and we are part of a group. So there is a primary purpose of alignment or realignment with the group, but most importantly, it's really around reflecting who we are, where we've been, and basically where we want to be. And it's the change of mindset towards being a truly globally competitive shipping and maritime service provider, able to provide innovative and sustainable solutions. It reflects our evolution since startup. We've been in existence for 15 years. When we were set up, we were an in-house mining company for NLNG. And through that, we've evolved into the technical management of the vessel and the terminal and providing marine services. And we started the rebranding a couple of years ago when we also had a bit of a name change from NLNG Ship Management Limited into NLNG Shipping and Marine Services Limited. Now the new logo is really showing basically an agile, a global, but most importantly, a sustainably competitive entity that is able to play in the global maritime sector.
How does this rebranding align with your overall strategy?
Yes, thank you. So again, it's most importantly, it's about aligning with our original purpose, right, and our vision. And that alignment is really our purpose when we were set up was basically to provide internationally competitive shipping and maritime services, and at the same time fostering international maritime skills and standards in Nigeria. Along the lines...
Initially, you were set up just to service NLNG.
NLNG, exactly.
But now...
you
have grown.
We've opened up to the world. And most importantly, it's also really looking at it from the point of view of ensuring that we position ourselves to not just simply do that, but do that in accordance with international standards and be globally competitive.
My apologies for taking you, well, they are related in a way. Many people don't understand logos. And you've talked about agility as one of the reasons for it.
Yeah.
Can you tell us I'm sure that my director is going to put it up. Can you tell us the story of that logo? That's, I don't know what to call it.
The swivel.
The swivel, you call it?
Yes.
Okay.
So the swivel, when you look at it, it shows continuous motion, agility.
Okay.
Right? It shows strength. It shows innovation. But most importantly, within the context of the colors, it shows operational excellence, safety, environmental stewardship, and competitiveness. So within all of that logo, what you see there is, one, it's a competitive brand. It's a global brand, but it's a brand that is focused on service excellence, a brand that is focused on safety, a brand that is focused on reliability and the creation of value.
Interesting. So
there it is.
Yes, that's
right.
The logo.
Yes.
The green and the blue water. Okay.
We are a shipping company. We link production to the market across the oceans. Green, and I always say green, you can start with the green that fundamentally we are Nigerian. Yeah. But most importantly, it's also about operational excellence. It's about environmental stewardship. Whilst the lime is really reflective of basically being the trustworthy service provider, the reliability that we bring onto the table.
Interesting, very interesting. Now you see the logo, now you know what it stands for. Now, you talked about global expansion.
Yes.
So what specific steps is your company taking to engage more actively in the international maritime market?
Thank you. And again, so you also need to recognize right from inception when we took over the management of both the terminal and the LNG vessels, we have been global because our vessels call at every international port delivering gas globally. So we've been playing in the global market. But of course, our service has been restricted within the group, and over the last 2 to 3 years within the Nigerian maritime market space. What we're looking at is to expand our horizons. And part of expanding our horizon is really around looking at basically how the investment that we've done in capacity, both technological and our people, ultimately, what we have to bring to the table is the competence and the technical skill sets and experience of our people. So it really goes beyond just simply having a name change or a logo change. It's about really the investments that we've had over the years in building capacity, in developing international relationships, and building that brand and competence so that we are seen to be not just simply a Nigerian company, but a Nigerian company that can compete internationally and operate to the best international standards.
I know that you have, excuse me, I mean, you said that the organization NSML is about 15 years old.
That's right.
I know that you have competed, operated.
Absolutely.
You know, globally for years. I am well aware of that. So what's going to be different now?
The outlook. And I couldn't. If I was listening to the last interview where we talked about mindset, right? So the outlook, of course, the mindset determines basically what you want to do, what you are able to do. But most importantly, it's beyond what you say you will do. It's about the ability to deliver on what you to do. Yeah, exactly. We've spent the last 15 years building capacity. We've spent the last 15 years investing in our infrastructure, in our systems, in our processes, but most importantly, in our people. We've spent the last 15 years building knowledge, building relationships and international partnerships. And we do believe that's a wonderful foundation for this aspiration that we do have today to go international. Of course, we'll continue to be a Nigerian company. Our primary area of focus will continue to be Nigeria, right? But most importantly, it's about being that Nigerian company that operates internationally.
Now, one of your major milestones is the establishment of the Maritime Center of Excellence.
That's right.
Well, tell us more about that. What's its significance?
Excellent. Thanks for that. And that's something we're very proud about, and maybe I've heard a few people say, well, you haven't spoken so much about it as a company. The Maritime Center of Excellence is an advanced maritime training institute or center that was set up essentially
Where is it?
In Bonny Island.
Okay.
It was set up essentially to provide maritime skill set to train our people.
Is it open to everybody?
It is.
I can just apply and go to school there. I don't have to work for...
Well, I wouldn't say it's a school per se, right? So you come with the basic skills,
okay,
or the basic certification, if I can put it that way. And the essence of the center is it equips you with advanced skills that you require not just simply to operate in the maritime sector, but to excel in it. The MCOE today is basically one of the advanced training centers you find anywhere in Africa today. We have the most advanced simulators. Our programs have been accredited by some of the best maritime agencies globally, especially the UK MCA. And the essence of that center is basically to equip Nigerian seafarers with those skill sets, what we call future-proofing them for the future. The industry is evolving tremendously in terms of technology, and you can't just simply stay static. You have to keep moving with it.
Is there a certification that one acquires?
There is a certification. So the baseline of maritime certification, you have the basic certification for officers is called the Certificate of Competence. But then there are added certifications that you need to have to basically operate effectively. And some of these certificates, the renewal of them, unfortunately, we find a lot of people having to travel abroad to do that. What the MCU is geared to do is to be able to ensure that they can renew their certifications locally.
Here.
Now, I'm actually intrigued by something that you said about investment in people.
Yep.
Again, I'm aware because of some experiences that I've had. Now, how does this whole rebranding contribute to the broader maritime and economic landscape?
Fundamentally, it's about creating opportunities for people. One of the things that we've tried to do as NSML, in the trajectory of growth and the vision that we have of being global, is to provide opportunity for Nigerian seafarers to play in an industry that is essentially global. And I've always stated quite clearly, the industry is global and the standards are international, right? If you are competent enough, you can play in every sphere. So we see this as an opportunity, not just simply for NSML, but for Nigeria as a whole, where we're able to build capacity, train young people to have a career at sea, and they can have that career in a global manner, in a global industry. That's one. The second aspect of course, is when you build a Nigerian brand that is recognized internationally and trusted internationally, that's been able to meet up to those standards, it does put Nigeria on the map. It's not us. There are competent companies and people in Nigeria. It's just about providing the platform. And we believe this element of spearheading that, especially within shipping and maritime, would enable that and basically ginger the growth of an industry beyond just us. Yeah.
Interesting.
Now, NSML.
Yes. A bit of a mouthful, I know that.
Is there to support NLNG's export business,
That's right,
so to speak. How does it support it, and how does this contribute to the nation's energy sector as a whole?
Good. So, the LNG business, at the heart of the LNG business, is shipping and marine.
The goods out.
Exactly. That ability to connect production to the market. And that's what we play. So we believe NSML is at the heart of what LNG does, being able to sustainably and efficiently deliver energy to the world.
So can I assume that before NSML was formed, this was sourced out?
Exactly.
Okay.
And that was why I say behind that purpose of the creation of NSML was that ability to foster those skills and standards locally so that we can domesticate it. And we've successfully been able to do that. So shipping and NSML basically is so fundamental when it comes to the LNG business because you need to be able to deliver the products, deliver the goods internationally. But even within Nigeria, LNG plays a significant role in the supply of LPG, for example. And we run those vessels in all the various terminals in Nigeria, ensuring that at every stage, products are available, LPG is being supplied, and most importantly, efficiently and safely.
You make it sound so easy, so simple, like there are no challenges at all.
So, what challenges?
What are those challenges? You make it sound so smooth, like, we got it covered.
Easy peasy.
Meanwhile, as the Yorubas say, the chicken is sweating, but because the feathers are covering,
you can't see the sweat.
You can't see that.
So how is this chicken sweating?
No, I think again, I've always said challenges is why we exist. So solving challenges is why the world exists. If it's that easy, then you probably, we wouldn't be here. Are there challenges? Absolutely. But I think for us, it's really around how do we strengthen the regulatory framework, ensuring that we have a level playing field, ensuring that we have an environment that's not just simply driven by regulatory enforcement, but most importantly, self-regulation. Ensuring that the standards are clear and there's no ambiguity. Of course, there you will find the challenges of infrastructure, as every developing economy would know. But the whole essence of it is, of course, how do all the stakeholders, all the people, all the entities involved in that sector come together to address those challenges? We're doing our bit, and I'm sure others are doing that as well. But from the perspective of NSML, one of the things that we've done and we've tried to do, and so far I think we're doing a bit well, if I can say that about that, is our relationship with the regulatory bodies. Because they sit at the top of the industry, and if we strengthen their ability to effectively regulate, then they will be able to create an environment where everybody can come in and strive. There are also the challenges of what I call the domestication of international standards. So the maritime industry is governed by the IMO that sets the broader regulations. But every entity, every nation that's part of the IMO then needs to domesticate those standards into local laws so that those laws can be enforced. Without that, then you don't really have the laws to enforce. So you see that, and of course, you also have the elements of consistency, whether it's of government policies or the way we operate. So again, one of the reasons why I've gone quite extensive about this, it's the challenges are there. But we're beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel because there is that focus. The creation of the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy is in the step in the right direction. So you can see the focus in terms of recognizing that you have an industry that has tremendous potential, but we need to be able to set the structures and the framework in place for a sustainable future.
The next time we want to talk about marine and blue economy of Nigeria, we're calling you. Just so you know. Now, this transformation that it tends to promise, make some promises. What assurances can you then give to your stakeholders, your partners about what's to come?
I think the main assurance is that it is still the same NSML. Different mindset, more global outlook, but most importantly, it's about what we do, what we've done, and what we intend to continue to do, which is continue to provide innovative and sustainable maritime solutions. Okay? We've built the capacity, we've entered into the relationship, we've invested in our people, in our systems. To do that, we've delivered on it, we're delivering on it, and the assurance I can just give it, we will continue to do that. But with a much greater focus, recognizing that we are operating in a globally competitive industry, and our survival requires us to be competitive, to be reliable, to be safe, but most importantly, create value.
Now, what impact will this rebranding have on, for instance, skills development and job creation?
It's about creating a growing and sustainable company, a company with a global outlook, a company that is able to stand its ground in every environment that it operates in. And if we're able to do that, the biggest beneficiary would be our people, because we'll be able to create additional jobs. People will be able to grow because they work in a growing organization. But most importantly, it's about really ensuring that we engender a local industry that has a global outlook, not just simply us. We're just part of an industry. We're a small part of an industry. It's about everybody recognizing that the shipping and maritime industry is global and there are opportunities. And we can all play in it, but we obviously need to put in place the necessary stepping stones to be able to do that.
Now, you've spoken to everybody else. Now, what's your promise? What message do you have for your workforce in particular?
It's about them. It's about creating that environment where they're able to show what they do day in, day out, show their skills, show their experience and their expertise, and continue to make a difference that they've also always been making. So for us, our people represents basically who we are. And I've always said what we have to bring to the table is the expertise, experience, agility of our people. And they have driven us this far. And I'm absolutely certain that they will carry us further down.
We can only wish you the best.
Thank you so much.
We can only wish you the best. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Abdulkadir Keri Ahmed, MD and CEO, NLNG Shipping and Marine Services Limited, NSML. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
All right.
Thank you.
When we return, well, part of the things that you heard Mr. Keri Ahmed talk about is capacity building and all of that. And that's what universities are for, isn't it? So we'll talk about that when we return.
I believe.
Okay, Nigeria University of Technology and Management. Have you heard of that before? Well, to be honest, I hadn't until today. But it does exist, and we're privileged this morning to have the founding president of the Nigerian University of Technology and Management, who is the former managing director of Nigeria LNG and former vice president of Shell Global Upstream, Dr. Babs Omotawa. Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, when he said, we pointed to you out there and he said, that's my boss, I was wondering, okay, University of Technology and Management, how is he his boss? Until I saw that, former managing director of the great LNG. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Maybe a good connect would be, I don't want to ask for fond memories of your NLNG days, but I would rather ask, you know, what your take is on its projection so far. It's evolved, hasn't it?
It has. It's, of course, started building the 7th train, which is to grow capacity by about 30%. But it has also faced challenges. Gas supply has been a big problem. And even in recent times, I think, you know, nearly half of the trains were down due to gas supply. So, but I'm sure the current management is doing all that it takes to get the company to continue that projectile of being a world-class company that is really creating value for Nigeria.
Do you think it has any direct impact on the gas supply in the country?
It's a combination of many things. Security, some of the pipelines have been vandalized, and that affects that a lot. But also, you know, investment upstream, where the gas supply should come from, had not for many years been to the level it needs to be. But of course, in recent times, a lot of that has been improved. We've started to see a lot of final investment decisions being taken on projects onshore. So hopefully that gas supply will continue to increase. And as the security of the lines are maintained, then you should see the gas going in and the production ramping up.
Hope it will also bring down the price.
Well, for LNG, you want the price to go up because it's export. So,
yes, I get that, but I think it was the president that also said that, look, LNG should first of all supply Nigeria before exporting.
Yes, so there are different aspects of it. So LNG's main reason is for the export. It does produce LPG, which is cooking gas, which is totally dedicated to Nigeria. And that's the aspect, I think, in terms of pricing, you want that to go down as well.
Yeah. But Doctor, can you please tell me why there's this general impression out there that LNG is not a part of Nigeria? It speaks, it smells, it feels like perfection. Why is that?
I think it's a good question, and one that needs to be replicated a lot more in the country, because it's been able to show that you can run a world-class company in Nigeria once you have the right enabling environment. Part of that is the combination of bringing international expertise in a technical area that we don't have locally, but with national interests protected by the national company.
And national brains.
National brains.
Because they're all Nigerians.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So with the right environment, Nigerians can do great things, and that has been shown in many places, either locally or internationally. So I think it's just about creating the right framework, creating the right environment, and allowing Nigerians' creativity to be unleashed.
As they say in French, bref. Now, let's move to the Nigerian University of Technology and Management.
Which brought you here today.
Thank you.
Now, what is that all about? What makes it unique? Technology and management.
So the first thing to say is that we're trying to build the MIT of Africa. We're trying to build a world-class university in the top 50.
I'm a Nigerian.
So that people don't have to leave Nigeria to get access to world-class education. We're trying to develop leaders, innovative leaders for the future in technology and entrepreneurship who can make impact in the country. I think if you look at it today and you look at the graduates in Nigeria today, many of them are either unemployed or some are employed in low-paying type jobs. And if you look at that, part of the reason is that, some have done courses in universities that are not relevant in today's industries or relevant for the future. But the second part also is that many of them are being taught with a rote approach, which is memorization and regurgitation, which again is not what the industries need. Now, when you look into the future, technology is going to play a key part in the future, whatever industries you are. Also, entrepreneurial is also going to be very important, either for you to set up businesses or even when you work in organization to be able to think of creating value. So what we are doing differently in the Nigerian University of Technology and Management are a few things. One, we bring world-class faculty from all over the world, Ivy League universities, Stanford, MIT, Oxford, Harvard, to teach our students. And they teach them in experiential and practical knowledge. So it's not about theory, it's about real practice, real life case studies. So that's one. But the second thing we also do is to make sure that industry is ingrained into everything we do. So our courses are courses that industry have said will be required now and in the future. And our curriculum is based on what industry has said they require. So that industry linkage ensures that our graduates will come out to be employed. But the third thing we also do is a very liberal arts type program. So when you come in, you don't just do a particular thing. So for example, you come in to do BSc cybersecurity. We'll make sure you have 4 things before you leave. One, of course, is technology, but we'll also train you in leadership. We'll also train you in entrepreneurship, and we'll train you in what we call soft skills. These are skills that help you be effective in society. Critical thinking, problem solving, psychology, things that make you much more impactful. So what we are seeing really from what we've done in the last few years is that our graduates are now a lot different in the marketplace. They are leading and they are being well sought after by industry.
Now, in parentheses, sorry, where is this university?
So today we are located in Apapa in Lagos in a temporary campus. Our permanent campus will be in Ogun State on Abeokuta Shagamu Road.
Okay. Your organization has been shaping future leaders in Africa. For how long, first of all?
So we started in 2020.
Okay. That particular year.
COVID year.
That's the year of reset. So can you share a success story, that highlights its impact so far?
So one of the things I mentioned earlier is that we're very focused on entrepreneurship. So all our students, no matter what course you do, we make sure that they are trained to identify problems in society. We'll help them to find solutions to that, enabled by technology. We'll help them to understand how to raise capital, how to set up companies. And before they graduate, all our students must be part of a group of 3 or 4 who will have set up a company to take that business idea forward. Now they can choose to continue with that, or they can choose to go and work. What we've seen, which has been exceptional, is that 45% of the students who've graduated have continued with those business ventures. Wow. It's unprecedented. And as of today, they have already, within a very short time, 2 years, have already raised over $3 million. They've already created close to 1,000 jobs, and they are really thriving. Let me just give you one example of one of those ventures. So 3 of them came together during the period of 2022 when everybody was complaining about Forex. Naira is devaluing, people were afraid where their money was going to retain value. Our students looked at that and said, that's a problem, we need to find a solution. And so they created a product whereby people save money from their salaries, and it's saved in dollar equivalent immediately, and is retained in that dollar equivalent for as long as you need until you withdraw your money. And so people were able to save their money and continue to retain value. Within 2 years, their revenue base has grown to over 15 billion naira.
Whoa.
In 2 years. That's the kind of capacity we create from this university.
What does it take to qualify?
You need to give us more information.
No, I don't need information. What does it take to qualify?
So, of course, we have 2 categories. We have undergraduates and we have postgraduates. So, for undergraduates, of course, you have to have passed your JAMB. You have to have 5 credits, especially including physics and mathematics. But for master's degree program, you also have to be a graduate of any university and any course. And we then bring them in, and what we do with our postgraduates, we say we polish them up, we finish them for real life to be much more impactful.
Well, when you mention physics and mathematics, you've disqualified me. So let me face my English.
Doctor, you know what I was just thinking of? I know that there's a school in India, a particular school, where big corporations all over the world go to headhunt.
Absolutely.
And I'm just thinking, wouldn't it be nice if we became that for Africa?
Absolutely.
Is that the kind of thing that you are seeing in the future?
Absolutely, and it's 2 things to that. I believe you are talking of the Indian Institute of Technology, and they are one of our partners. So we have 3 partners in the globe as of today. One is Oxford University in the UK, where we are partnering with the Side Business Center for management business type focus. The other is the Indian Institute of Technology, which is where we partner on a lot of our technology, a lot of our futuristic, when you're talking AI and all the rest. And the other one is WPI in the US, which is a theory and practice university in the world. So indeed, the Indian Institute of Technology is one of the universities we are partnered with, we are working with to be able to achieve the same type of progress they have achieved. As you rightly said, today, graduates from that university in India have risen to become CEOs of companies in the US. It's unprecedented. And that's what we believe we are capable of. We believe Nigerians are capable of that once they are given the right environment, and that's the environment we are creating to be able to replicate that in Nigeria.
I've heard so much about AI, Dr. Motowa, to the point that it is scary. And I want to believe that it is part of the curriculum at NUTM, because with all the exciting changes happening in AI, blockchain, data science, I wonder what your students will get and how they are going to stay ahead of the curve. If you can just tell us what the initiative is.
So I think there are 2 sides to that. One, of course, is that, as I mentioned earlier, students are taught by world-class faculties from Ivy League universities, Stanford, MIT, Harvard. They come with the latest of research and knowledge in the field. And so our artificial intelligence courses, data science courses, software engineering courses are taught by this world-class faculty. But we don't always stay with academia in terms of technology, because we find that technology is actually moving a lot faster in industry than is moving in academia. Some of the most latest AI thinking have actually come out of industry. So half of our courses are taught also by industry players. So for example, we bring in a Google expert to teach our students in AI along with a prof of AI in the university. So that combination of both industry and academia is providing our students the latest thinking, the latest knowledge, and the greatest capabilities in these new fields. We also have specific courses such as data sciences, AI, where we have a master's degree program, software engineering, and again taught by faculty from world-class universities as well as industry experts in leading in those fields.
What kind of support does the university offer students to help them turn their ideas into real businesses, like incubators and funding and mentorship programs?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, we have a program which is called our TED Lab. It's a capstone project. It's a one-year program for all our students, which is where they identify a
TED
problem.
Lab.
TED Lab.
Does it have anything to do with TEDx?
Not TEDx. It's a technology lab. So we start them off by identifying a problem in society. So we teach our students how to solve problems. They're not there to learn theory. So they go out, identify problems in society. We sit with them to define that problem, because sometimes they've not really defined the problem well. We then work with them to find solutions, and solutions must be enabled by technology. And when the solutions are then identified, they pilot it to make sure that it can really solve the problem. We then work with them in terms of setting up ventures, so they actually then set up a company. And then we work with them around how do you do funding, how do you do fundraising, how do you run a business. And we work with them through all of that, such that by the end of their program, most of them have either really set up the companies and are running, or are in the process of doing that. We help them a lot also in fundraising. So we have a number of networks we have a lot of people in our networks that we introduce them to. They pitch at the end of their program to these investors. And in the last 2 years, they've already received over $3 million in investment from these investors, and they're doing exceptionally well.
Don't you have a course for just people who just speak English?
We, of course, have...
because I can't just be hearing this million, billion, and I don't qualify because I don't have physics and maths.
So remember, physics and maths is for undergraduates. If you are a postgraduate, that's not required. That's not what you require. You can come with any
as long as you're a graduate.
As long as you're a graduate, because we do have programs such as an MBA in technology and entrepreneurship, which anybody can apply to and do. So you don't necessarily always have to have physics. It's not every program. But remember, we're a STEM university. We're science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and management. So that's our core focus. We believe we don't want to be everything to everybody. We believe being focused in things that we know are futuristic, that will be valuable for the future, and have impact on the country.
First you give me hope, and then you dash it in. Thank you very much. But it's like, in a way, you have told us now what students can expect from their learning experience at NUTM, right? So how do you see, how can prospective students and their parents learn about your organization, the application process, the scholarships, financing options, and all of that? I hope there's a website.
So we do have a website. It's www.nutm.edu.ng.
Okay.
So anyone can go there, and you'll find all the information there. The website is world class.
Okay.
And is on. We also have social media.
This is the website.
Yes. Africa for Africa and the world.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We also have social media handles, so LinkedIn, Facebook. We have all of those social media handles that you can also find us on, and we advertise all our programs on all those media.
Well, I assume that you have graduated a number of students. What was the experience in the job market when they finish their courses?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, 45% of them continued with the businesses they started in the university. So those ones were not looking for jobs, they were creating jobs. 45% just continued with those businesses. 55% went to look for jobs. They all found jobs within 3 months, and they all found jobs with top-class organizations, whether it's Deloitte, whether it's PwC, Sony, they all have, some of them found jobs internationally. But what I think is even more interesting is that the feedback from industry about these students, these graduates that they've employed has been phenomenal. So one of our people who employed from us is Inyola Aboyeji, who runs Future Africa. And Inyola will tell you that NUTM is the place where he goes to look for talents. He has employed a number of our graduates, and they have blown his mind away. We also have another of our students who's working for an international company, promoted 3 times in 1 year. Just phenomenal performance from our graduates.
Doctor,
you want to...
Are you not putting yourself in the line of fire from the other universities who are not doing technology and management?
I mean, we're very focused. As I said, one of the reasons we wanted to build this university in Nigeria was, one, we found that people had to leave the country to go and be able to access these world-class universities. Secondly, there was no Nigerian university ranked in the top 300 universities in the world at that time. And so we thought that Nigerians deserve to have the same world-class university here. We also deserve to be able to bring, that capacity so that people don't have to leave the country, because most of those who leave don't come back.
Yeah.
But also, most of people can't afford to go out and do that.
Yes.
So being able to build it here, I think, will make a big difference. And we decided to focus on STEM and focus it on Africa, so that we can build this university that is going to be of pride to everyone in Africa.
What are your final words to students and parents that are considering?
I would say this is the university to be. Don't, if you're interested
at this time,
if you're interested in the future, and you're really looking to be an impactful leader, an innovative leader in the future, this is the university to be at this time. You will get access to world-class faculty, you get access to industry professionals, and you'll be able to bring your creativity and innovative to bear. Parents, I will also encourage them to, this is the university. Most parents who have sent their children to the university have actually now been the biggest advocates. They go out to talk about how well their children have been transformed. So, I will say to any parent out there, if you have wards who are either going for their undergraduate program, get them into this university. But also, for professionals who are also working and need to get additional qualifications, master's level qualifications, this is university to be.
What are the fees like? You can say that under your breath.
Well, of course, you will find most of those information, because programs are all different. But you're right that quality is not cheap. So that's the first thing we say. But we do a lot of we put in a lot of effort to find scholarship for our students. We go around industries, we go around high network individuals to try and find scholarship for many of our students. So for students who have shown very good acumen, we really give them scholarships. And those who are in need and also showing seriousness, we also look for scholarship for them. But the fee levels are all there on the website. What I can say is that it's market links. We don't charge above those who are at least close to what we are trying to do.
Okay. Professor Babs Omotowa, founding president, Nigeria University of Technology and Management. He was the managing director of the Nigeria LNG, and he was the vice president of Shell Global Upstream. Thank you very much, and we wish you all the best. And we expect that after this appearance on Sunrise, your telephones will not stop ringing, because I'm sure many people will be interested in this university who are forward-looking. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for staying with us. When we come back, we're going to be looking at another interesting conversation. Do stay with us.
Okay. The April General Conference of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints comes up as today and tomorrow.
Yes.
Interesting. Now, this global religious broadcast aims to help individuals strengthen their relationships with Jesus Christ to experience the peace, the hope, and joy that come through following him. Everyone is invited to join with millions worldwide to hear inspiring messages from living prophets and apostles. We have a panel of 3 this morning to discuss this with us. Mr. Uwie Osaritin is Stake President, New Benin Stake. Thank you for joining us this morning. Also with us is Helen Igbineweka, who is Stake Relief Society President, Ubowo Stake. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
As well as Adeolu Sheyi, who is a young single adult, Igwos Award, Benin Stake. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.
For those who are hearing about this for the first time, Mr. Osaritin, tell us about this worship experience.
General Conference of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is an exciting time and a special time where members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and everyone around the world is invited to listen to prophets and apostles of Jesus Christ speak the words of Christ. Every weekend, first weekend of April and October, is an opportunity to hear the Savior Jesus Christ as his servants, apostles and prophets, and other leaders address us.
Okay. Oh, I thought you were going to expand a little further on it. So let me come to you, madam. This conference holds twice a year. What are people to expect between today and tomorrow?
People are expected to listen to the prophets of the church. He's going to address us tomorrow and today and tomorrow. And we are inviting everybody, no matter your situation, no matter your religion and circumstances. The Savior's love is not limited. The light of God is for everyone. We are inviting the general public to join us as we listen to our prophet. He's going to speak to us and we'll have the peace of God in our lives. We experience the joy of our Heavenly Father.
Okay. Now you're... Okay.
Mr. Deolu, is there a special theme for this conference?
Yes, there is. The theme for this conference is Hear Him. It's an invitation for sons and daughters of our Heavenly Father to listen and hear from the Savior. It's an invitation of the Savior to individuals and families to listen to Him, to hear Him this April.
Okay. I thought you wanted to follow up on that. How about the viewing? Where can people participate in the conference?
Okay. The April General Conference 2025 is going to start today, 5th April 2025. And the Saturday session of this General Conference is going to be broadcast live on this very station by 5 p.m. And tomorrow, the 6th of April, the Saturday afternoon session will be rebroadcast by 11 a.m. on this very station. And on Sunday, 6th of April, we'll have the Sunday morning general session by 5 p.m. on this very station. And there are other places we can also watch this general conference. We can see it on this very channel on DSTV channel 420 and also on GoTV channel 48.
Okay.
On
this
DSTV.
Is the broadcast schedule, right?
Yeah.
On the screen.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Okay. All right, Mr. Uwie, Do you have anything to add to that information?
Yeah, you can also view it on YouTube channel, churchofjesuschrist.org.
Okay. Now, is there anyone who is watching now wants to know how this will impact their lives? Do you have any experience that you want to share about how this has impacted yours?
It has. Personally, I am excited every time I listen to prophet and apostle speak. They deliver messages that has blessed my life, particularly in recent time. The prophet, President NSML, has talked about following the example of Jesus Christ to be peacemaker. That message has impacted me like no other. And it came at a particular time that I really needed peace. And there is no greater peace that can come to anyone than the peace that comes from the Savior Jesus Christ himself.
Can you be specific about your personal experience?
Yes, I'm talking about my personal experience. Specifically, April 2023, there was a lot going on in my life as an individual, and also I and my family. When I listened to President NSML speak, all I needed was just the peace, especially the peace that comes from the Savior Jesus Christ.
Okay. How about you, madam?
Yes. I want to say that...
Your personal experience?
About 2 years ago, I was actually facing a lot of challenges in my life. As I listened to the prophets on the conference, I actually find answers to those challenges that I was facing at that point in time. And I got peace, comfort from his talks. I do enjoy the talks given by our prophets and all other apostles of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It gives peace to my soul, and it helps me also to help my family to draw closer to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
How about you, Mr.?
Yeah, thank you very much. The joy and peace that has been spoken already, that we receive from, as we listen to the General Conference, the array. Personally, I've been blessed by General Conference in the past years. For instance, in the October 2023 General Conference, President Nelson taught that he taught in council that each of us should think celestial. And he said to think celestial is to have the very thought of Christ in our lives at all time. To have the very thought of Christ in our hearts at all time and in all places and in every thought. That particular counsel has been of great and immense impact in my life as a young single adult in the church. It has helped me to make decisions that has helped me to become a better person. If, for example, if I want to do something or make any decision, I will have to ask, if I'm following the counsel of the prophet, I will have to ask myself, does this align to the teachings and the gospel of Jesus Christ? That way, I am thinking celestial. In another instances that the General Conference have blessed my life, in the October 2024 General Conference, President Nelson again invite each and every one of us to prepare for the second coming of the Savior. In his talk, he invited members of the church and everyone around the world to, in our actions, in our words, in our attitude, to prepare for the second coming of Christ. And he taught that one of the ways that we can prepare for this second coming of Christ is to prioritize our discipleship with Jesus Christ, to put ourselves in places where the Spirit of the Lord can teach us and can bear witness of the Savior Jesus Christ. So it has really blessed my life immensely, and I'm looking forward to this general conference that is going to happen today and tomorrow. And I'm coming with my pen and with an open heart to listen to the words of the prophet.
Speak to young people like yourself as well, young single adults, you know, like yourself at all, who are probably disillusioned. Some probably say, you know, they have it all covered, they have everything under control and all of that. So what would you be saying to those who don't think that they need this kind of intervention?
Please, can you come up here?
What would you say to those who don't think that they need this kind of intervention?
Okay.
What would you say to them about, you know, the importance of this conference?
One thing I would say to people who feel this way is that the Lord is speaking to everyone of us, both young and both old. And one of the ways He does this is through His prophet. We need this counsel, we need this direction, and the only way we can get it is from the prophet of the Lord.
Okay. Well, you want to help out?
Yeah. No matter your situation or condition, messages from the prophet and apostle are tailor-made. Every individual, whether members or non-members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints that listen to apostles and prophets speak, will get something personal that is going to impact their life. They are just tailor-made for everyone, including you.
I'm interested in, okay, maybe I should ask you, do you have anything else that you wish to share about this general conference?
Okay. I want to invite everyone to listen with an open heart and hear the Savior Jesus Christ personally. Speak to them. I promise that if you listen with open heart, you are going to hear the Savior Jesus Christ speak to you through His apostles and prophets. I know this personally because I have always listened, and I have always been blessed as I listen. After the conference, you are going to have to reflect and act upon the principle that you are going to learn. As we act upon the principle that we learn during the conference, we are going to see those promised blessings manifest in our life.
Okay. So how about any other information that you want to give to people?
Yeah, we have missionaries around the world. Their purpose is to invite everyone to come unto the Savior Jesus Christ. You can find our missionaries everywhere teaching the gospel. So you can call on them. They are so excited. All they do is just talk about Jesus Christ and the peace, the hope, and the comfort that comes from the Savior Jesus Christ.
Do you have any other additional information? What do people need to prepare for? How do people need to prepare to be a part of this conference? What are the things that you would advise that, look, if you want to get all the full benefits of this conference, this is what you need to do?
I would just ask that you prepare for the conference with an open heart, removing all the distractions, get your paper and pen, and listen. Listen to what the Holy Ghost will teach you as you listen to the prophet and apostle. Make sure you write it down, and over the next 6 months, before the next general conference, act upon those principles. So my invitation is, please listen, get your pen and paper ready.
Okay. Are there, where can one get additional information? The websites and all of that? Do you have those?
Yes, churchofjesuschrist.org.
That's where the full information is?
Yes.
Okay. So what are the days again of this conference, the days and time?
Today and tomorrow.
Okay.
Brashi, will you please share the information?
Yes, the date for this conference again is 5th April, which is this Saturday, 2025, and it's going to be on live broadcast from 5 p.m. And on 6th April, which is Sunday, the Saturday afternoon
5
session.
5 p.m. for how long?
For 2 hours, 5 to 7.
Okay.
And on Sunday, 6th April 2025, the Saturday afternoon session will be a rebroadcast from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then there will be a music and a spoken word. There is a live broadcast from 4:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. And then there's
music and spoken word.
Yes, music and spoken word.
Okay, please, tell me about them. How exciting are they?
The music and spoken word is it's kind of like a music presentation by Momo Tabernacle Choir, where they sing hymns to prepare members of the church and those who are listening to the program, to prepare them before the conference starts properly by 5 p.m. on Sunday, which is the morning session of the general conference.
Okay, go ahead.
No, the music and spoken word is from 4:30 to?
Yeah, it's from 4:30 to 5 p.m.
5 p.m.
And then the Sunday morning session is a live broadcast from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And all sessions of this conference will be on the following channels: africanwest.churchofjesuschrist.org and churchofjesuschrist.org/broadcast. And it's also going to be on byutv.org/live TV, as well as Channels TV, channel 420 on DSTV, and on Go TV, channel 48.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you very much for your time this morning, because this is just also exciting. But just to be clear, we're talking about the April General Conference of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, coming up today, 5th of April, and tomorrow, 6th of April. And what are some of the objectives of the conference? Quick one.
As an individual.
What are the objectives?
Oh, the objective of the conference is for individuals and families to benefit from the peace, the joy, and hope that comes from the Savior Jesus Christ. There are no better message you can hear today than that of the atonement of the Savior Jesus Christ. And these messages are from his apostles and prophets.
Well, we have to thank you very much, gentlemen and lady, for being here this morning. And the website again is churchofjesuschrist.org. Is there any specific website for the conference itself?
AfricanWest/churchofjesuschrist.org.
Sorry?
Get it. AfricanWest/churchofjesuschrist.org.
Okay. It's a specific website dedicated for this conference. All right. I want to thank you very much for coming this morning. Osaitin Owe is Stake President, New Benin Stake. Adeolu Sheyi, Young Single Adult Equals Award Benin Stake, as well as Helen Ibinweka Stake Relief Society President, Ubowa Stake. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
When we return, we'll talk about what she said the other time without the D, PTS. Just PTS. We'll talk about
not the disorder.
When we return, just stay with us. What we've come to understand is that trauma is common. Trauma exposure is common. In fact, on this program, a number of times people have said that parents, many parents, and even grandparents need to outgrow their traumas over the years. In fact, our guest, while we were discussing this yesterday, that he said that many of us need to outgrow our child trauma we went through while we were growing up. In the World Health Organization, World Mental Health Survey, among 68,894 adults from 24 countries across 6 continents, 70.4% respondents reported that they had experienced at least one traumatic event among the 29 types: war, physical violence, accidents, and all of that. People with higher levels of trauma exposure could present an increased risk of developing clinically significant post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms. Conversations this morning will continue with our guest who will join us in a moment, Miracle Ihuama, who is a clinical psychologist. A moment from now, we'll be able to reach it because, people have said that, the kind of things that we go through in our world as we grow, as we evolve in the time, as we mature, they inform a number of things. For instance, I was just having a conversation earlier today. Why do people who are seemingly comfortable, who seemingly have it good in their lives, why do they tend to have complexes? Why do they tend to be by themselves in ways where you're wondering, why are you insecure? Why are you afraid? What are you afraid of? What is it that you are unsure of? These and several other things we'll be discussing, on this program this morning. And I don't know if Miracle is already on set. Okay, we'll be back with you in a moment to discuss this in a moment. Well, I don't know if music helps to reduce traumatic stress, but Miracle Ihuama is a clinical psychologist and he joins us this morning. Good morning and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good morning, sir. It's good to be here.
Yeah, tell us about this PTS without the D.
That's what I'm facing right now. Okay, without the D. Without the D, post-traumatic stress is actually distress that actually comes after a traumatic event, or sometimes could even be after someone has witnessed a traumatic event, even though they are not the primary or sole participator in that traumatic event. So if somebody witnesses the death of a loved one, or witnesses a fire incident, or even witnesses rape or anything of that sort, it could actually be traumatic for that individual. So post-traumatic is the distresses that come after one has been exposed, from a particular event that they consider traumatic. Yes.
Does everyone react the same to this kind of stress?
No, not everyone reacts differently, actually. In fact, what is traumatic to one might not be traumatic to another. Let me even give a very typical and maybe simple example. So if 2 children grew up in a home, and then one of those 2 children grew up in 2 different homes rather, and one in one home was told about rapture. So he grew up in a religious environment and he was told about rapture, and the other one grew up in another family where they weren't told anything about rapture. They could go to school and come back, see and find no one in the house, right? See an empty house, And then the one who was told about rapture can think that everybody in the house has been raptured. Why the other one can think as an opportunity to play or even do whatever it is they want to do. So that event can become traumatic for the person who was told something about rapture and not traumatic for the other person. So a lot about trauma or post-traumatic stress is dependent on the individual and the circumstance and sometimes the information they have been exposed to before that traumatic event. Yes. So people react differently to trauma.
You know, Miracle, watching the news yesterday, they were showing children who had been through some horrendous experiences. And one little boy, who couldn't have been more than 8, was saying, they killed him in front of me, and I haven't been able to sleep. Every time I shut my eyes, I see that killing all over again. How is that kind of child going to grow out of that dream that he keeps having of someone being killed in front of him?
Yes, so that's one of the symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. The recurrent nightmares. The person becomes startled. The person avoids anything that reminds them or triggers them in relation to the event and things like that. So it is very much related and very much typical of anyone who has been through a traumatic experience or is dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder. Someone to be able to deal with that incident, they would need to, another I would recommend therapy, right? Because in therapy, there would then be help to see that event differently from how they currently do. That is where most recovery starts from, right? So maybe you begin to see that event a bit differently. So say, okay, what is the meaning that was attached to this particular event? And then to begin to change the meaning that individual has attached to that particular event, right? We call it cognitive behavioral therapy because for that event to be traumatic, there is a meaning that was attached to it. It is empowering meaning. So for us to be able to change that, we need to then change that meaning that we have concerning that event to something more empowering. Yes. And also, there is something we call exposure therapy as well, where the individual is exposed, right, gradual exposure to that that event or the thought of it that brings about those traumatic symptoms and experiences.
Sometimes.
So,
my apologies. Sometimes I wonder if it is avoidable because it's the same world that we are, isn't it? But you know, a quick information for our DSTV platform only. It's a live event, which is a commissioning of Kugbo International Market in Abuja. The event is going to be brought to you live on DSTV. As the commissioning of the Kugbo International Market in Abuja is going to be taken live from for our DSTV platform only. So, but you please stay with us, remain with us here on this segment, if you will. And if you have to be redirected, you can go to our YouTube page to continue the conversation. So back to the conversation. You know, I just asked our dear friend, ChatGPT. I said, give me PTSD without the D, and this is what it says. What is it?
Without the D, it's a way of recognizing that trauma changes people, but that doesn't automatically mean they are disordered or broken. It's a shift from viewing trauma reactions as a mental illness to seeing them as normal responses to intense stress.
Can you confirm that, Miracle?
Yeah, come again with that, sir.
Oh, okay. He says, without the D is a way of recognizing that trauma changes people, but that doesn't automatically mean that they are disordered or broken. It's a shift from viewing trauma reactions as a mental illness to seeing them as normal responses to intense stress.
Yes, yes. So, and I really like to say that a lot of us, if not everyone, has one form of trauma in their life or the other, right? It doesn't have to be a disorder. You don't have to be diagnosed for you to actually be dealing with a particular trauma. As long as you found any particular incident in your life to be stressful or distressing to a point where it affects your values, it affects your beliefs or your view about life generally, that event is considered a traumatic event. So yes, there are things in our life that actually stretch us out and can be considered as trauma, even though they might not necessarily be diagnosed as post-traumatic stress disorder. In fact, for you to be able to diagnose someone as having post-traumatic stress disorder, those symptoms must happen consistently for up to 1 month, right? Right. So if it's anything less than 1 month, for instance, it is called acute stress disorder. Yes, even though it has the same symptoms with post-traumatic stress disorder. So yes, I agree with ChatGPT.
It also says that removing the D invites compassion and connection instead of judgment.
Yes. So really, really and truly, as much as possible, I think that you shouldn't even judge anyone, right? Because you never know what they are going through or what they have gone through, right? You could see someone, for instance, who is seriously scared of dogs, for example, and then you can become critical to say, I do not judge dog. What is that? Dogs are friendly. Dogs are nice creatures. I have a dog and all of that. But you never know the person's experience with dogs. Maybe the person had a horrible experience with dogs where, they were pursued by dogs or even beaten by dogs. That changes the dynamics of that person. So in a case where the person meets another dog, another friendly or seemingly friendly dog that is not harmful, they would still display the same kind of reflexes of symptoms. The dog was harmful. So it is important that we don't judge people, right? And we are not overly critical of people because you never know what they've been through. You never know the experiences in their lives. And the same way, because just like the popular saying goes, that when you are pointing one finger at someone, it's pointing back at you to say that even you who is judging, you have a trauma in your life as well. Yes. And if we are it, you would see that there's an area of your life that you wouldn't want anybody else to know about, or where you display certain vulnerability that you wouldn't also want other people to judge you for. So I don't think we should judge people. We should first of all understand, right, that people are doing the best with what they know, and secondly, the fact that people have had different experiences from us, and that has shaped their lives. Just like somebody rightly said, that we are all products of circumstances. Yes, we shouldn't remain prisoners of our circumstances, but we are all products of circumstances. Right? When we were born, John Locke said our mind was tabula rasa. So it meant that our mind was a blank slate. There was nothing written in our mind. But as we began to grow up and to interact with environment, interact with upbringing, interact with significant emotional experiences, those things began to write on the slate of our minds and began to form our attitudes, began to form our decisions, our memories, our beliefs, our values, our personalities, as the case may be. And all of those things have what has all come together to make us who we are today. For some people, those building blocks were more favorable than it is for other people. So it's important to understand that if you grew up, for instance, in a home where you had a 3 square meal, there was somebody who grew up in a home where they didn't even, they struggled to eat 1 square meal, right? And all of that forms our perception, our view of life, right? For instance, that person can grow up tomorrow, even become somebody who becomes wealthy, but at the same time, they can still be dealing with that trauma. They can begin to save excessively to a point where you are wondering, why does this person hoard so much money, right? They are hoarding so much money because they saw a lot of poverty, and somewhere in their subconscious mind, they are still running away from being poor. So even whether they know it or not, they are unconsciously trying to save so much that they don't even know that they are dealing or grappling with a traumatic situation that has formed, their
has been part of their growing up.
Their view to life. Yeah.
Okay. It seems like you're saying that every one of us needs to go for therapy. But there's something, you mentioned while we were, conversing about this discussion, that you said that it is important for everyone to heal from childhood trauma. Right? Are you still there, Miracle? Oh dear. Well, I'm sure we're going to get him back. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I said in the build-up to this discussion, you talked about healing from childhood trauma. Oh dear. Well, I'm sure that when he comes back, he will jump right into the conversation, because, in the build-up, he was talking about the fact that, every one of us, we grew up with childhood trauma. We grew up with childhood trauma. Though those jokes that particularly MC Larry used to crack
He and his mother.
He himself and his mom
Yes.
sent him on the errand. He now just something happens to the pepper he went to grind.
I know that I have died. I have died.
In a sense, he said, I mean, that could be one of those childhood trauma.
Yes.
But
he was always getting from one into the other.
Well, you are a mother, so tell us about this trauma you people give to us.
Well, children are told to do A, they go and do B. Well, they know that there are consequences.
Well, yes.
And Larry's mom, he said his mom used to talk with I. So, okay, they go and visit someone, and they offer him food. And he's so hungry. He knows he shouldn't eat. But instead of looking at, and his mother is trying to tell him,
but before
with
that,
her eyes not to eat.
Before that time, she said the guest will come and say, Larry, eat now. And he will now look at his mom and say, Mommy, should I eat? And the mommy will say, eat.
There's a difference between eat and eat.
Okay. Well, Miracle, if you can quickly speak to that healing from childhood trauma that you talked about. What when you say we need to heal from childhood trauma, what do you mean, really?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
All right. So when I said we need to heal from childhood trauma, like I've given instances of people who might be dealing with childhood trauma currently, and a lot of people, right, are actually dealing with childhood trauma, even if they are not aware of it, right? And it is affecting their decisions. It's affecting. Let me even give you an example. There was this particular lady who she went for therapy, and the reason why in therapy it was realized that she had issues with retaining monies, right? Whenever she made money at the end of the month, she was going to spend them even before it was 2 weeks into the month. And this was somebody who was making a lot of money
Maybe I think she was even the managing director of a multinational company. She made a lot of money, but these monies never stayed with her. And it was discovered that the reason why that happened was as a result of trauma. Right? She grew up in a family, in an environment where the dad was a sole breadwinner in that home, and single thing they needed was provided by the dad. To the point where even when they needed something as small or as simple as biscuits, sweets, as the case may be, and they go to the mom to say, "Mommy, please, we want biscuit, we want sweet," the mom would say, "Go and meet your dad. Go and meet your dad." So she formed a perception, or a conditioning was actually formed in her subconscious mind that said women were not supposed to have money. It was only supposed to be men. So even when she grew up and started making money, she spent all of that money unconsciously because of something in her childhood that she hadn't dealt with. Yes, that is why, for example, in therapy, we have what is called healing the inner child. Because trapped in a man, in every man is a boy, trapped in every woman is a girl. Yeah. And the same way people have chronological age is the same way people have emotional age. So someone, for instance, can be 30 years old, but chronologically, but can be 5 years old emotionally. Another person can be 40 years old, but 15 emotionally. Well, because Miracle, at 5 or at 15, as the case may be, that person stopped growing emotionally.
Just a quick question.
Maybe it was that they were raped at the age of 5.
Yeah.
Or they were
just
physically,
a second,
okay.
Miracle, if you can hear me. Give us signs. I mean, you just told us one example, and that's perfect. You don't have to quote any other example, but just give us signs that the person watching right now would know that they need to engage a specialist to help them decode some things, you know, because sometimes people really can't explain why they do stuff, right? So, because some people would have said that that woman that couldn't retain money is what the Yorubas call agbano, the spirit of money, spirit of spend it, spend it, spend it, spirit of whenever there is money, what is written on that money is spent. So, but it is so, you are saying it is not spiritual. It is something that needs to be healed, that one needs to be healed from. What are such other scenarios that the person watching right now need to know so that their lives can be better?
Okay, so I'll give some of them. If someone is finding it difficult to start and maintain relationships, it is possible that there's a trauma in that person's life.
So it's not spiritual.
If someone right has attitudes, habits, lifestyle that is constantly affecting their relationship with other people, it's possible there's a trauma. If someone has an attitude or habits or lifestyle that is grossly affecting their finances, it's also possible that person is dealing with a trauma. Yes. If someone struggles to keep their emotions in check, it's either they are engaging in an emotional outburst or they are just unable to keep their emotions in check, it is possible that they are dealing with a trauma in their life as well. If there's a habit, if there's an addiction that has stayed with one for a long period of time and they have tried everything possible to deal with that habit, with that addiction without success, it's also possible that that person is dealing with trauma.
We could go on and on. I'm pretty sure that there are several other examples or experiences that you'd like to share with us. Lastly, the numbers that we have from the World Health Organization's World Mental Health Survey is worrisome. 70.4% of almost 70,000 people reported that they had experienced at least one traumatic event out of 29 types in their lifetime. How many people are aware of this?
Not a lot of people are aware. Yeah, in fact, a lot of people would even tell you that they have never had any traumatic event in their life, or they would say they have never, or they're not dealing with trauma, or they don't have a trauma in their lives, right? And that's because we have a wrong representation of trauma. So a lot of times people think trauma is only anything that is extreme in nature. Maybe when someone experiences a fire incident, or when someone experience a near-death experience. That's what they categorize as trauma. Okay. And that's why they are not even aware that something as simple as the example I gave earlier, about a child who comes to the house, or is a child, for instance, in our modern day era, would be threatened with egunu, that that's masquerade now. If you don't do this, I will call the masquerade for you, right? That can put a trauma in the life of that child.
Okay.
That can live with them for a long time.
Okay. Miracle.
Yeah, it is why I think that.
Miracle, I am sorry, but we've run completely out of time, which means that we need to bring you into the studio again to explore this thing about trauma again. Yeah, thank you very much. Miracle Ihoma is a clinical psychologist, and he joined us via Zoom. Thank you for being with us, Miracle. And that is our show for today. We'll bring you a fresh edition next Sunday, being Palm Sunday. Until then, just be the best version of yourself. I'm Alera Edu.
What are you preparing for Easter? Don't answer that yet until you have. I'm Ayo Makinde. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Bye-bye.